Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I've always been the black sheep of the family. Cousins grew up to be doctors, professors, creatives, and whatever else. Meanwhile, I've managed to just make a humble, stable passive income through some business decisions. Nothing fancy, but I can afford a one-bedroom in New York City and live comfortably with that, and a part-time job in a cafe. Everyone in the family, including my parents, judge me harshly for not pushing myself to do what my cousins do, especially my one cousin we will call Randy. Think the stereotypical dude bro who got rich thanks to working for his dad. Multiply that by 10, and you got Randy. Anyway, he always gave me the most crap, and eventually, I just turned them out cause I get to enjoy my life with my significant other, work part-time, and still afford what I want. So, to cut the BS short, Randy has a wife and 2 kids. He also has a mistress. I found this out cause one day when I was walking through the city, when I saw him walking down the street with a woman who clearly wasn't his wife, arms around each other. I checked Facebook and saw he had indeed posted about visiting a bagel shop in the city while on a business trip that morning. So he was indeed in the city. So I decided, duck it, let me see how this plays out. I followed them for 5 hours, snapped several photos, one of them going into a hotel together. I held on to these and waited until Christmas that year, about 6 months later. I decided to unceremoniously drop printed photos in front of everyone at the table before dinner, and made sure to get his wife to see them. Cue screaming and fighting. I actually got a black eye out of it. It was Randy's dad who did it though, not him. Cue police. A lot of questioning. My significant other and I get kicked out, and we head back home after talking to the cops one last time. The aftermath. Besides Randy's wife and another cousin who hates Randy, my family cut me off entirely for several years. Whatever. Even my parents had always expressed disappointment in me for not applying myself fully, so no real loss there. Randy got divorced, lost full custody of the kids after threatening his ex. Family occasionally tries to guilt me into apologizing, but my response is some variation of, not gonna apologize for outing a cheating C, and I'm promptly blocked for another few months. So, significant other and Randy's ex-wife are good friends, and the kids call me uncle. Nice having a family who actually loves me unconditionally for once. Significant other and I got married, and that's when my family last tried to get into contact with me, and were actually nice for once. Seeing me moving on, I guess, eats at them. I don't know. Maybe realizing their punching bag is gone for good. That's it, really. Living my best life now, with a good family as opposed to a crap one. Edit. A bunch of y'all seem to think being abused is not traumatic or bad, as several comments seem to be saying. Wow, you're a bad person for having a negative reaction to abuse and not handling it like a golden human being. So, I'll clarify. The comments about my wasted potential weren't just, oh, your cousin's a doctor, what about you? They were, I can't believe Randy just sealed a deal for X amount of dollars. Are you still working at that crappy cafe? Are you still seeing what's her name? The girl with the pudgy stomach. Aren't you ever gonna do anything with your life? I'd feel so worthless living like that. Those are the nicer ones. The worst ones include being told that it's better I didn't try, as I wouldn't amount to anything, and other such things along those lines, as I really don't care to remember the more toxic lines. I understand that Randy is still family to them, but why would they side with him, or against you, when he was actively cheating on his wife and broke up his own family? You shouldn't have to apologize to scum like him. We spent Thanksgiving with mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law. I always tell my kids they don't ever have to give hugs or kisses if they don't want to. My daughter, 5, seems to feel bad for mother-in-law and hug her. My son, 7, chooses not to, and that is his choice. Mother-in-law is pretty much the only person he doesn't hug. Mother-in-law isn't a terrible person, but I've always gotten the feeling that she doesn't really like any of us. But she goes through the motions out of guilt, obligation. There are some cultural differences, and I know she feels she has a responsibility as a mother, even though my husband is an adult. She helped us buy a house and paid for our wedding, but never comes around. She is also extremely awkward around children. Anyway, we went because my kids love seeing all of their step-cousins, and it is always a good time. When we got there, my son wouldn't hug mother-in-law, but hugged everyone else. Note, I don't think she even wants a hug. I think this embarrasses her. Her husband tried to guilt-trip my son, and I shut that down because I don't tolerate emotional manipulation. Mother-in-law at some point needed a shallot and sent her husband to the store. He brought one of his grandkids with him. Mother-in-law's husband has about 7 grandkids and is like catnip to children. He came back with candy for all of the kids, including my daughter, but none for my son. When I gave him a what the duck look, he said, "But I thought I didn't owe anyone anything, and I'm not responsible for other people's feelings," which is language I've used to explain why I don't force my kids to give hugs. My son was clearly very upset because he was being excluded, but also because he likes mother-in-law's husband a lot. Mother-in-law's husband said he doesn't like how my son treats his wife, and he knows it sucks, but kids have to learn hard lessons sometimes. I took my daughter's candy away, gave it back to him, and we left. I said that man will never see my son again. If mother-in-law wants to visit our house, she can. Not that she ever has, literally ever. But they will never see him again. This sucks because they have gotten close with his grandchildren, and all 3 of his children told me that if I do this, they are done with me when I ask about scheduling playdates. My husband doesn't like what he did, but thinks I'm overreacting, and he is from a different generation and a different culture, and we should try to talk it out. But I feel like for a grown man to do that to a kid is just straight up evil. I agree with OP teaching their children they don't have to hug, but they need to teach alternatives, such as a handshake, high five, blow a kiss, maybe make and bring a card. Something so they still show they love mother-in-law, but want their physical boundaries respected. It sounds like OP has just said, don't hug mother-in-law if you don't want to. I know it sounds bad, but here's the gist. I've got 2 siblings, 15 female, 17 male, and while I lived in mom and stepdad's household, currently at university, I was tasked with most chores, washing dishes, doing laundry, cleaning, running errands, you name it, while my siblings had none. Their reasoning, "You're older." I protested this many times, telling them my siblings were old enough to also share the chores, but stepdad always shouted me down and called me ungrateful after he put a roof over my head and fed me. That's been a line he's thrown at me endlessly. My siblings have been given anything they want, allowance, gifts, electronics. But if I asked for something, I was told I didn't need it. That's when I started babysitting at 12, so I could buy my own goods. I've worked since. They stopped buying me basic goods, like sanitary products, as soon as I started working. I'm at university on a full scholarship because I knew early on that I'd be on my own on this front. I worked my butt off to get into my top choice. I love it here. I feel free and in control of my life. The issue came during dinner. Mom, stepdad, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins were there. I was talking to an aunt who congratulated me on getting into my university, and stepdad says loudly, OP thinks her fancy college makes her better than everyone else as usual. I can't explain what was different this time, but I snapped. I told him he was pathetic for picking on me all my life when all I'd done was try to be a good kid. And I told my mom she was spineless for letting him treat me this way. And I left, which felt like the right thing to do at the time. I slept at a friend's and got a train back to university the next day. My mother has since called me distraught, like full-on sobbing, saying I was being overdramatic and that I humiliated them. She says I'm ungrateful because look how well you're doing. That's because of us. And I just don't know. I feel bad she's this hurt. People have it worse. I am doing well. I have a family to come home to. I just don't know. Am I being dramatic? Am I the a-hole? OP should reply to her siblings and remind them about everything, job and chore she had to do at their age, and everything she had to buy for herself since her parents didn't want to. Ask them if they think that was okay. Ask them if they want to be treated that way. Explain that the mother they have is not the mother OP had. And remember this in a few years when they come asking for money. If stepfather wants anything, he can be told he can figure it out himself since he is the oldest. Update. I can't tell you how validating these comments have been. I never talk about my family because deep down, I think I feel ashamed of how my family treats me. So this has been helpful, really. I don't have it in me yet to tell them what I need to tell them outright, but I do have it in me to go no contact. They don't fund any part of my life, so the only thing they can hold over me is themselves. I'm writing an email now to let them know not to contact me and that I won't be contacting them until I'm ready to communicate. Brother texted, "Mom won't stop crying. Hope you're happy." Sister texted, "This sucks." So there's that. I love my younger siblings, but I'm going no contact with them as well before I figure out what I want. Ever since our niece, the first and only grandchild, was born, mother-in-law has been completely insufferable. Brother-in-law and sister-in-law have had to establish very firm boundaries because she is obsessed with her granddaughter, to the point where it's kind of creepy. Bless them and their patience. As a result of this obsession, mother-in-law is also extra focused on being in constant communication with brother-in-law, visiting and calling as often as they'll allow. Over Thanksgiving, sister-in-law mentioned that the plan this year was to be celebrating Christmas with mother-in-law and father-in-law 2 weeks early, so that brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and niece could have a small family gathering, just the three of them, minus the chaos, on Christmas Day. Typically, we all get together on Christmas Day at mother-in-law's house, so this took my husband and I by surprise. Mother-in-law said, "Oh, they're busy, so they won't be there," to which we responded, this is the first we've heard about the early celebration, actually. Mother-in-law insisted that she invited us months ago and that we never responded, so she assumed we were busy. But husband and I scrolled through all of our texts and found no mention of Christmas plans at all. Husband is feeling incredibly hurt. He is already the black sheep of the family, for no good reason. So this was just salt in the wound. It hurts me to see him this sad. Important to note, we live in a very cold climate, and many of these nice brand jackets, sweaters, boots are sold at reasonable prices during Black Friday. I usually save up throughout the year so I can do leisure Black Friday shopping and buy most of my winter clothes that day. It's usually our thing for my mom and I to go Black Friday shopping together. Well, she tends to take the items I want and buy them for my younger sister. Every year I suck it up because I'm an adult, in my 20s, and my younger sister is a teenager. Last year, I wanted this particular Michael Kors puffer jacket that usually retails for $100 to $200 for $99. I put it into my cart. Later, my mom is like, "Oh, my sister should have that. Let me find her size and put yours back." I'm like, no, I had my eye on it first. I had a bit of an argument for the first time ever. Then she proceeds to try and convince me that it will suit my sister better. She's slimmer looking and has longer legs than me, and it'll be a waste on me. It makes me feel bad about myself, so I give in. But she does this often. If I'm wearing something nice, she's like, "It'll look better on your sister." Another issue I have is that I work multiple part-time jobs and go to college full-time. I can't always afford the things I want, so I try to shop during Black Friday. My parents have money. My mom can buy whatever she wants whenever she wants. Usually, she spoils my sister with high-end brand items, clothing. I won't lie, sometimes I wish I was born around the same time my sister was, since she's way better off than I was as a teen. Always being bought whatever she wants, newest iPhones, iPads, brand clothing, accessories, has a nice free car, not forced to work part-time, etc. But I can't blame anyone for that. But why take the items I want specifically on Black Friday, the day when I can actually afford something nice for myself? Why does she do this and shame my body comparing me to my sister? I just don't understand. First, I want to say, stop shopping with your mom. She can't dictate what you buy with your own money. If she wants to buy it for your sister too, then oh well, she'll have to copy you. And second, I'm sorry you have to watch your sister be more well off than you. I know how that feels, and it hurts. And if your parents aren't willing to make up for that some way, any way at all, then maybe you shouldn't be around them at all. It doesn't sound like your mom is very caring. So, actually this year I went Black Friday shopping on my own and met up with my friends, and it was great. Every year it's a miserable experience. My mom yelled at me on the phone when I told her that I didn't want to shop with her this year. She thought I was being unreasonable. I told her straight up that I feel like I can't buy the things I want whenever she's around. Right, I had no issues getting the same items as my sister, but my mom would physically take things out of my cart and put it back and buy my sister her size. I told her we can both get it, but my mom snorted at me, telling me if I really wanted to do that to myself. I just don't get it. I'm similar to my sister. She's just a bit taller than me, and I'm a bit more petite than she is. So I'm not spiteful about my parents pampering my sister. We just were born at different times. Money and finances weren't as lenient when I was growing up. I do feel a bit jealous, but overall, I'm alright with that. I'm glad my sister doesn't need to worry about finances as much. I like to spoil her too. It's just the Black Friday shopping that gets on my nerves, and the body shaming is awful.